What is up, guys? Ninja Nick back with another day of Pokemon action here. This is round one of a league challenge that happened at Flipside Gaming in Clifton Park, New York. As always, grinding out those league challenges. Gotta make sure I have all 6 of those first place finishes. It's been really hard to get exactly first place, but we are about halfway there. So I start Manaphy, and our opponent starts the Mew VMAX. We do lose the coin flip, which isn't the worst case scenario for the Lost Box deck that I am playing, affectionately referred to by most as the Turbo Lost Box. And our opponent here is, I believe, a little bit of a newer player. He is playing the Mew VMAX. And I remind my opponent that they have not drawn a card yet for a turn. And of course, that is the Battle VIP pass. So they are going to be able to search their deck for 2 Pokemon to put directly to the bench. Since it is turn 1, you can play that Battle VIP pass. You cannot play at any other point in the game. And of course, I forgot to start my match timer, even though my mouse is hovering over it. So we're going to put that up right now. So we're going to get double Genesect here. We already have the Mew V in the active, so double Genesect here makes perfect sense. We're just going to shuffle up here. So I think there is an Ultra Ball still in hand as well that we almost used. So I'm just going to cut the deck here just in case he chooses to maybe thin some cards out before using the Ultra Ball. But we're just going to go straight into that. We're going to get rid of a Panic Mask, which is a really cool card. You can't be damaged by Pokemon with under 40 or under HP remaining. So that's cool. I think they have to have damage counters on them. So it's pretty cool. It's like a Gardevoir counter. It's kind of like Box of Disasters, but a lot less aggressive, more defensive. So the Box of Disasters would allow you to, say, knock out that Pokemon that attacks into you, but the Panic Mask always makes sure that you don't take damage from that Pokemon. So they're just as good as each other, but in different ways. We're going to draw 2 with our first Genesect here. Looks like, unfortunately, we have 2 Boss's Orders stuck in our hand here. But we're going to be able to use our second Genesect if we want to use that Crim-O-Matic, discarding the Pal Pad. I think that's perfectly fine. Get rid of the Pal Pad here and hope to find another Battle VIP pass. Would feel pretty good. It looks like we are just going to pass instead. So trying to hold that for maybe a Mew VMAX or something on the next turn. I think I always personally prefer to just get all of the Pokemon in play, but that's not always the correct choice. So we are going to go for the Colress's Experiment ourselves here. Pretty good that we went second because we are able to use the Colress's Experiment now. And I'm really deciding exactly what I want to get rid of here. I want to keep the Battle VIP pass because it is turn 1. I really don't want to get rid of a Sableye if I can avoid it because you always need to use usually 1 Sableye in this matchup. And I haven't checked my prize cards yet, so of course that Sableye could always be in the prize cards, but we're going to get rid of Rope Sableye. Definitely the best choice of what I have because I want to keep that Pokegear 3.0 just in case I don't have an out to the Colress's Experiment on the next turn. We are going to use our concealed cards now. Going to discard and draw 2. Maybe it would have been correct to do that before the Colress. Since I moved recently, obviously, as you can see, I've been rusty. So I really got to grind a lot of games out before Pittsburgh. Now that my computer is all back online and everything all hooked up and ready to go, I'm going to be grinding a lot of PTCGL. So make sure you guys are following me on twitch.tv if you are not already at the Ninja Nick 333. Just to make sure you guys can catch up on me playing out some more games. We're out. I think we're definitely going to be playing Lost Box is what I feel most comfortable with in the format right now. Obsidian Flames didn't really change too much of it, and of course this is the first content I'm putting out in Obsidian Flames. There is also a League Cup that happened the day before this tournament that I'm going to have up at some point when I get hold of the footage again, because Kerwin's Game Store does not keep their Twitch videos live for some reason anymore. I don't know why, so I'm going to have to go back there again and get them to copy it on my hard drive. So we will get to that eventually. I was never featured on their stream, but I did get top 4 at that event, which at this point put me at 166 CP, I believe. So the only way I get any points out of this tournament is if I get first or second, because I have a second place. I have 3 first places in challenges, a second place, and 2 top 4s. So I have to win, and I was told that all of the good players were going to a League Cup that was like 3 hours away, and then they all decided to come here instead. So I thought I was going to have an easy win, and did not. So had to really fight for it here. We do see the Cram-O-Matic coming out this time, but just flipping the tails, I did have to pass. I did not have a way to get the Cramorant attack. Unfortunately, I think I was 1 card short. I don't remember exactly what's in my hand here, but I do have the 4 cards in the Lost Zone. So now for the Mew deck, they really want to get to maybe their Mew VMAX here, because I, of course, escape roped and that put the Meloetta active. That really screws up with some things a little bit, because that Meloetta does not have a way to attack unless there is exactly an Attach for Turn and an Elisa Sparkle. Otherwise, you have to find a switching card. And it looks like after the second Genesect, we have still a dead hand. We find a Box of Disasters, which is pretty cool against Gardevoir, but not in this matchup. We have a Path to the Peak. We could play down just to shut off the Radiant Greninja, wouldn't be too bad. I'm going to put that Box of Disasters down on the Genesect because, of course, maybe if I am playing Iono in my deck, that doesn't go back into the deck, so not the worst case scenario. Putting down that Box of Disaster since it won't really matter. And just a pass of the turn. So yeah, that's really all my opponent really had. Unfortunately, they're just breaking a little bit. And we are going to go for the Pokegear. We're going to search the top 7 of our deck for a Chorus's Experiment. And do we find it? No, but we do find a Boss's Orders. So we're going to take that anyway. That's not the card that I was looking for necessarily. Unless I had a really good... Unless I had a really good hand where I can like get Dragonite online, then I could boss up the Mew and take the knockout. Unfortunately, I think the Raikou would be short. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. No, the Raikou could actually take the knockout here if I have a full bench. So the boss's orders could potentially get me there, but I would have to have a way to get to 7 cards in the Lost Zone and play the boss, and no, I'm using the Forest Seal Stone here to grab the Chorus's Experiment. So still not the worst thing in the world having 1-2 prizer down, but you know, if my opponent just like top decks one live playable card like an Ultra Ball or something, we could be in a world of hurt because we could see our Raikou V get bossed up and knocked out and go on a 2 prize deficit. So we are going to go for the Chorus's Experiment. Gonna look at the top 5, choose 3 to put in our hand, choose 2 to put in the Lost Zone. We're gonna Lost Zone double Comfey, makes sense. You only really need 2 Comfey in play. Also, if you guys see me in Pittsburgh, you don't have a Ninjanik V-Star marker yet, hit me up, because I'll be there. We do Pokestop, and we find a pretty good 2 cards there, Mirage Gate and Switch Cart. So we could Switch Cart into our Comfey now, start racking up that Lost Zone a little bit more. We even have the Lost Vacuum here. We can get rid of our own Pokestop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That will put us at 8 cards in the Lost Zone here. Gonna get rid of our own Cramorant. And the other cool thing that we could do is we could actually attack with Greninja this turn. All that we need to do is have an attachment of a water energy or double Mirage Gate, and we do have double Mirage Gate, so that Pokestop was actually pretty huge. So we are going to look through our deck. We do have exactly the energy we need to attack with the Greninja in deck. If I have a Super Rod, I might choose to play that first just to get more energies in the deck, get a little bit more value out of my second Mirage Gate, and I think we are going to go for it. So I was about to play the Super Rod, and my opponent wanted to see my discard, so I'm just going to wait until they're done to play my Super Rod. So yeah, I see they're about ready to hand it back, so I put the Super Rod down. I'm going to put those 2 energies into the deck, and then I'm going to use Mirage Gate. I think I could have chosen actually not to do that, because I still had a Lightning Energy in deck and a Water Energy. So yeah, I actually could have saved the Super Rod until after. So maybe that would have been more correct to do, because I noticed there was a Psychic and a Lightning towards the bottom of the deck there. But this also helps me play around Judge and Iono. Those cards are already in deck. I don't have to re-find that Super Rod, but I would have gotten a little bit more value off the Super Rod if I held off for a turn, because I can put 2 more energy cards into the discard pile here, so I would have been able to put 1 more back with the Super Rod on a future turn. So we are going to go for the Greninja attack, and we are going to choose the Meloetta, and I'm actually going to choose the Genesect with the Box of Disasters on it, just making sure that that Box of Disasters doesn't have anything going for it here. And also that Genesect will be within Sableye range on the next turn. So generally this deck wants to say knock out 1 Genesect, 1 Meloetta, and the Mew VMAX by using the Drapion after that. You don't want to attack with the Drapion early if you can avoid it. And it looks like this Mew is going to shuffle those double bosses back into the deck with Pal Pad. So a little bit relevant there that wasn't discarded earlier off of the Cram-O-Matic, especially since that Cram ended up flipping tails that next turn, because now we were able to put those double bosses back in. So basically just hoping that I keep putting down 2 prize Pokemon so that they can capitalize on that. I'm not going to put down any if I can avoid it, for sure, though. I just had to put that Raikou down to get the Colress's Experiment. Let's see, we're going to go Ultra Ball here. We could get rid of the Path to the Peak. It does shut off the Greninja, so it is still pretty good, but keeping that double turbo does actually allow you to attack. So you know, making sure you do what you can in order to be able to attack versus disrupting your opponent. Sometimes disrupting your opponent is not the correct choice. And we do draw a few more cards here with the second Genesect or third Genesect here. Puts down Pokemon League Headquarters, which does require that my Pokemon have an extra energy attached to them in order to attack. Any basic Pokemon needs 1 extra energy in order to attack. And it's not super relevant against Lost Box, but it can. Okay, so yeah, that was the second Genesect, and then we just used the third to draw 1 card. No other Mew VMAX in play, so if I even just went with the Drapion attack now, I could effectively just win the game. So if I have if I do have Drapion, it would actually be correct to attack with that. And actually, he did discard he did just declare Cross Fusion Strike for Technoblast, but he hasn't played a Power Tablet. He discarded one with that Ultra Ball. So he is doing 190 because of the double turbo energy. And I do live on 10. But again, that's really all that he had going for him because he's just not drawing too well. So here I go putting my damage counters down. Of course, we could always see an Oricorio come down and then finishing this Pokemon off on the bench even. And I have a Heavy Ball. Do I have a Nest Ball in hand? Yeah, I have Heavy Ball. Looks like I have 2 Heavy Ball in my hand, but I know I only play 1. No, that must be a Nest Ball. So if I had the Nest Ball here, I should have just Nest Balled for the Drapion. Mirage Gated to it, retreated, and then knocked out the Mew VMAX. Because it does need 1 more energy to attack. We are going to Mirage Gate here. We're going to Mirage Gate to the Sableye, I believe. Or no, are we? Yeah, no, we're going to go for the Greninja attack, I think, right? Okay. Yeah, so I look through my deck, and I get 1 Water Energy to the Comfey and 1 Psychic Energy to the Sableye. And this is where I make a game-breaking error, which does get caught, thankfully. So what I should have done here is put both energy onto the Sableye, leaving the League headquarters in play, and then using my own Lost Vacuum to put my Forest Seal Stone into the Lost Zone. But instead, I split the energies like this to allow my Comfey to have a retreat in a future turn if I do get knocked out. And I'm going to Lost Vacuum the League headquarters, and for some reason, believe that that puts me at 10 cards in the Lost Zone, so that I can attack with Sableye, and then I do it, knocking out the Genesect. So that is what I'm going for right here. Again, I am attacking with Lost Mine with 9 cards in the Lost Zone. But yeah, for some reason I thought that put me at 10. I don't know why. I didn't double check. And I do take the knockout and the 2 prizes. And I want to make sure we do catch it, and it'll be interesting to see exactly what we do about it. But I do take 2 cards, and I want to make sure that I took the right 2 cards. Yes, it was Water Energy Colress, so I did remember specifically what my 2 cards I took off the prizes are, and we do catch it on this turn. So we're going to see the Lost City come down, and an Oricorio here as well. So yeah, I could not have attacked with Sableye using Lost Mine. I could have attacked with Scratch, but I couldn't have attacked with Lost Mine. So I did knock out the Genesect on the bench and put the remaining 2 on the Mew. And then we see the Judge. So this is what breaks the game state completely, makes it unrewindable, because my hand does go back into the deck from the Judge. But yeah, we will fix it, I promise you. This isn't this isn't me intentionally cheating. We do the game. I end up conceding the game basically once I find out, because it would be a game loss anyway. So I just concede and sign the slip. But we are gonna finish the game out. We are gonna try to rewind once we find out. Once we realize that I effed up pretty big time. Just for fun, not actually for the tournament. But yeah, officially on paper, I've lost at this point. So we Nest Ball for the Genesect here. And at some point coming up, he's going to play that Lost Vacuum that's in hand. Yeah, so here it is. So here's Lost Vacuum. He's going to get rid of his own town store to get rid of my Forest Seal Stone. And that puts the 10th card in the Lost Zone. And as I'm rearranging my Lost Zone, I go, wait a minute. Yeah, it's going to happen in a second here. I'm going to realize, because I was just touching my Lost Zone. I know I notice it in a sec. Yeah, here I go. Now I notice it. And I'm counting it. So I'm like, wait, this is the 10th card in the Lost Zone, so I couldn't have attacked with Sableye on the last turn. So I'm calling myself out for it. So, number one, never make game-breaking errors. That's pretty important. Number two, if you do make a game-breaking error and you notice it, call it out. Because people have been banned for doing exactly this and trying to cover it up. So I'm telling him that I'm conceding the match, and he's trying to tell me that he doesn't want me to concede, and I'm like, I am required, otherwise I'm gonna call the judge and get myself a game loss. Because the game state is irreparable. So now he's counting the Lost Zone as well. And this is a really fun thing. So yeah, I told him, like, I'm basically required to concede. Which is fine, because I only get relevant points if I get first place anyway. So now that I've lost game one, I can just take the rest of the tournament. This is best of one. I can just take the rest of the tournament as fun, as practice. And he's really trying to argue that we can rewind the game state, but because he played the judge, we really can't, because both of our hands were shuffled into the deck. But the compromise we made was, I will concede, but he wants to still play it out, and then we decide that we can rewind the game state. So let me see when we exactly figured out here. So he's going to continue playing his turn for a little bit. So yeah, here's us discussing, and I'm like, I know exactly what my 2 cards for prizes are. So I can put those back. It was Water Energy Colress. I knew for sure it was Colress, and I was fairly confident it was Water Energy. And I said, the only way we can effectively rewind this to play it for fun is if I put those 2 cards back into my prize cards, shuffle them, and then he rewinds as best as he can, but off of the rewind, he's still forced to play Judge as his first card for turn. So, we are in the process of doing that right now, so I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here. The timer is going to be off, and it's not going to matter. So he's picking up his Pokemon, like trying to truly rewind to the previous game state as best we can. So here I am. I put my Chorus's Experiment and Water Energy back in my prize cards, and I'm shuffling it. And then he's trying to put together back what his hand was before the judge, because he remembers what his hand was before the judge, or at least we believe so. And he's going to shuffle the rest of the cards back in his deck. And my hand is already 4 cards from the judge. We decided we would leave that as is, so when he plays the judge, my hand is going to stay the same. I told him we could reshuffle if we want. I do have Nest Ball for Drapion in there, which is why I say we can reshuffle it. But I do put, yeah, I put exactly Water Energy Chorus back in there. So I told him I'm still in attack step, so since I have the 9 cards in the Lost Zone, I have to do an attack, so that'll be Scratch. So it looks like we did forget to clean up the 20 that I had put on the Mew VMAX. I should have scratched for 20 to put the 20 on there, instead of, because that 20 was from the Lost Mine previously. So technically the game state is still not correct, but we rewound it as best as we could, mostly for you guys, and because he wanted to play it out. He was a nice guy. Yeah, and we put the 90 back on the Genesect because that did not get knocked out. So here we go. So we're back into the game state as best as possible. So I said I have the 4 cards in my hand, so you can do whatever you want before the judge, and you just still have to play the judge at some point during that turn, and that'll be my 4-card hand. So he reshuffles. He's going to draw a new hand. It'll be different than the original hand he shuffled in and drew off of the judge. And I believe at this point I still haven't signed the match slip, but I do. It is important to make sure you sign the match slip as soon as you make... As soon as the game is decided, you need to... So here I am reaching into my pocket now, and I'm grabbing the match slip to sign that I lost. Just so that it's down on paper in case anybody asks, because I don't want like a judge to come up and say that, you know, hey, you guys are still in the middle of the game, and it be argued that we actually are. Because I was at a League Cup one time, and in New Jersey, the judge was that Nancy DeAndrea. She is an awful human. She's not human. She's evil. And Rob Weidman was another one of her judges. So I was playing against one of my friends, and we were both like 0-3 or 0-4 or something. We're literally at the bottom table. And my friend and I decide to ID and play each other's decks. His idea, not mine. And I said, fine, whatever. It doesn't matter, so we'll do it. They did not bring the match slips there yet. So we started playing with each other's decks. Rob Weidman comes over, says, you're playing with each other's decks? And we're like, yeah, it's just for fun. We ID'd. And then he goes over to Nancy, because we hadn't signed the match slip yet, because we hadn't received the match slip yet. He comes back, brings the match slip. Then Nancy makes us leave our table, like, as we get the match slip. Go up and talk to her. She's like, I'm going to DQ both of you because you invalidated the sanctity of the game, of the tournament. And I said, you DQing us invalidates the sanctity of it because you're ruining our opponent's resistances, instead of just letting us take the ID like we originally were going to do. And yeah, basically I just Drapion twice and win. So, Drapion is only Mew that's in play. But yeah, that's why I made sure I signed the match slip there, because I don't want anything like that to happen again. So yeah, I just Nest Ball for the Drapion, switch into it, put 60 damage on my own Greninja, because the damage on there doesn't matter. I take 3 prize cards, which I want to say none of them were the Water Energy and Colress, in all honesty. And the Sableye was supposed to go into the Lost Zone the last turn, because he has the Lost City, so I do rectify that as well. And he just promotes Oricorio. He has no Mew VMAXs in play. The only thing he can do to take any prizes is attack with the Oricorio itself, if he wants to attach an energy to it. And he could, like, Glistening Droplets my my Raikou for the knockout. Yeah, so I think here you go Cramomatic, discard the Battle VIP Pass, flip a coin, heads, grab the Fusion Strike energy attached to the Oricorio, take the knockout on the Drapion, or no, on the Raikou on the bench. And you do get another Mew V in play, so that can become a Mew VMAX on the next turn. Hopefully I don't have the boss to bring up the Mew and knock it out. So I'm like, yep, take your 2 prize cards. And yeah, so this was an absolute mess of a game, and it's just because I'm super rusty, and I was kind of in a brain fog as well. And here is... Look, I just flipped the cards over. I'm like, do I get the boss and win? Yes, off the 7th card on the Pocus gear, I get it. And this is because they actually put up the pairings for the next round, because everybody had already finished. And we're trying to complete the game as fast as possible at that point, just so that we had an actual winner, because we would have had to clean up either way, because our match slip was already turned in as well. So we're cleaning up as fast as possible, and we're going to go right into round 2. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy me misplaying. This is really a feature of what not to do during a match, is really all I got to say about that. And don't be an idiot, I guess. I'm still an idiot. But... yeah. Comment, like, and subscribe.